Hello everyone, I'm RecV5.
And I'm Sandman99, and welcome back to another set of replays.
We almost got a kickoff return for a touchdown in this one.
Yeah, the first time ever. This would have been the first time ever in all the years that we have both played this game.
Since like 2004.
Yeah, and I think I might have returned one on pro level at one time, but on all pro, I have never returned a kickoff for a touchdown. And what we're about to look at is the closest that anyone has ever come. But as you'll see, the referee got in on the kick return coverage team and helped out a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was incensed when this happened. I couldn't believe it. I was yelling at the game, actually.
God.
So we'll roll it and just see what happens here.
All right, so we got the kick.
Yeah. And we're playing with the piggies here, who are a cupcake team. And look at this. RecV5X breaks a tackle. He gets out in the open field. He swerves to get away from number 20, runs into the referee.
Well, look at that in slow motion here.
Yeah.
So, I received the kickoff, and then I'm running forward. And I've got to break a tackle, so I actually go to just hold on to the ball with the two hands button. And I managed to break free of that guy, because he has a bad angle. You know, then I just keep running, because this guy's a wide receiver, I think, so it's not like he's great at breaking tackles. That was total pure luck.
Yeah. But he's fast enough, and away he goes.
Yep,
and here comes number 21 from the right.
Yeah, and 21 is a speedy guy, so I have to pull to this side here to try to create some space between me and him, right? Because if I keep running just straight,
yeah, he
will close in, right? He is fast enough, he is closing in, so I have to pull away from him and make him follow me, alright? And so that's what I'm trying to do. And, you know, I'm kind of hoping, like, maybe he'll dive and miss or something, right? Because it's kind of like at that point in user control where he would dive and miss just as you go to get about this angle, right? And then I bump into the ref. And I didn't even see this at the time. I wasn't looking. I didn't even see the ref on the field.
I know. It's pretty exciting when something like this breaks wide open like that. But yeah, the referee there, number 57 on the kick coverage team, did a great job of slowing you down so that guy can catch you from behind. And he was the last man back. The referee was the last man back.
So that's how that went.
Yeah, that was pretty rough.
Well, when it's in the game though, right?
That's right, including the referee helping out the kickoff return coverage team.
There you go.
Yeah.
And we're back with another kickoff by the looks of things.
Yes, and this one is just a little reminder about why you should always field the kickoff, unless you're absolutely sure that it's going out of bounds.
Oh?
Because if it's going to bounce anywhere in the field of play, you never know what might happen. So let's just run it through and see what happens here. I'm kicking off. And here comes the coverage team, and here comes the ball, and I'm a little off target with my directional kick, but it hits the ground and bounces back into the field of play. And here comes the coverage team. Where's the kickoff returner? He's like way over by the goalposts. He didn't even bother to come over here and field this kickoff, because, like, quite often I noticed when this happens, the AI won't bother to field it. They'll just stay away from it.
Yep.
And it'll bounce out of bounds 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100. But this one time it bounced back into the field of play instead of bouncing out of bounds, because it took one of those weird EA physics type hops, like the ball can do sometimes.
Yep.
Because it certainly didn't bounce very much. You know, like it almost stopped dead right where it was. And you know, like I ended up with the ball on the 1 yard line. So this is now officially, because I got the Madden challenge thing, kick and recover an onside kick from this as well.
This is the longest.
So this is now officially
kick?
The longest onside kick recovery ever.
Oh, okay. God.
And what happened, that happened, and I've noted it before, although usually, literally every time before this, whenever I've screwed up a kick like this, it's gone out of bounds, right? But, you know, usually the return team doesn't even move their returner over there. He doesn't even bother to try to field this.
Yeah.
And that's what got them caught this time. If you look at where he is, Well, he's like, what's he doing there? He stops and turns around and runs back into the middle of the field long before the ball is even landed. Now the ball lands and it bounces back into the field of play, and he's like almost between the hash marks.
Yeah.
Right? You know, like I guess if it's in the game, it's in the game, and stupid kick returners are in the game too.
Oh, you know, this reminds me of this one kick return I saw where it bounced into the end zone, and the guy didn't field it, and I can't remember exactly how it went now, but it was like in an actual NFL game, and the return team came down and grabbed it, and they had their touchdown. And it was like because he forgot the kickoff was a live ball or something like that.
Yeah, I've seen that happen a time or two as well. It usually happens with rookie players, or they forget that it's not a punt. Because a punt, if it lands like that and rolls around, well, then it's a dead ball as soon as a player touches it.
Yeah.
But on a kickoff, it's a live ball. So anyway, that's about all I had to show for this. But, you know, like that's just, like I said, if it's in the game, it's in the game. And that guy literally stopped on his way over to field that ball, turned around, ran the other way, and then the ball landed just inside the sideline and bounced back into the field of play.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's practicing his laps or
I don't
something.
know. That's crazy. I mean, but that's something to be aware of when when we are receiving kickoffs, and that's probably why it's a good practice for you to have control of the kicker before the kickoff starts.
Yeah, I always do anyways.
That way, if your kick returner is going to do something dumb like that, at least you can take control of him
and grab it when it hits the ground.
Run him toward the ball.
I don't know if I'd be good enough to actually catch the ball as it comes down, but I could certainly grab it before anybody gets there. And, you know, even if you start within your own 5, that's better than giving up a touchdown.
Yeah, well, and basically first and goal from the 1, I mean, yeah, I got a touchdown. So... And that's what really hurts too is I think this was like near the end of the half.
Yeah.
So it allowed me 17 seconds left in the first half, and of course the score was already pretty lopsided as it was. I was up 31-3.
Yeah.
But you know, like that was just I don't know, terrible. I was amazed that happened.
Complete and total unforced error.
Yep, complete and total unforced error. Anyway, we'll move on to the next thing, but that was a weird thing that I've never seen happen before, so I thought I'd show it off here.
All right.
And we're back. And here we go with an offensive play. And this is Sandman99 playing offense for the Crusaders.
Yep.
And I think we've shown something like this before, but it was worth another look again because it happened again.
Yeah.
And what happened was I lined up in some sort of a big set because I've got 2 tight ends on the field.
Yeah.
And the guy to watch is the guy on the right there, number 83, who is Marshall, who is a tight end.
Yep. And a big slow one at that.
Yes. And you know what? My corner route is one of those awesome plays that you can throw even to a big, slow tight end. So basically what happened here is that the defense man locked and crowded everybody up to the line. They left one safety back. But so really what I was doing is I was looking for number 84 running a flat route first. Yeah. But I noticed out of the corner of my eye that number 83 there came open on the deep pass. Okay, so if we watch him here, and he's being covered by a linebacker who turns the wrong way and opens up a huge space. Looks like they're playing one deep coverage here with the safety. So the safety's out of the play. And that's an easy catch for a tight end for about 20 yards, plus tack on another 15 yards of run after that. So, you know, from about the 20-yard line, that ended up being just about a 30-yard gain.
Yeah, just about. Wow.
To a tight end.
Crazy.
And to a guy who's not very fast. Like, I'll bet you he doesn't have 65 speed.
I mean, like, you know, like, it's really bad, too, because, like, this guy, he's still backing up here. If he has coverage responsibility on you, he needs to get his ass in gear.
Yep. Well, and that's another thing too, is that for some reason EA built this into the game where when they do turn around to run upfield with your receiver, they quite often turn the wrong way.
But it's not like these guys are a bad team either. I mean, they're not a great team, but they're the Guppies, right? They're an okay team.
They're an average team.
An average team, right?
But when you look at the way that linebacker covers, you know, like, why didn't he turn to the left?
Yeah.
Right? Why didn't he turn to his left? Like, what is he doing there?
I have no idea.
And, you know, of course, now that's an easy corner route. And, I mean, again, you've got the safety playing one deep in the middle, so why wouldn't you turn to your left and let the safety worry about it? If it turns out to be a post, well, then you've got the guy sitting in a one deep zone in the middle of the field to help you out.
Mm-hmm.
But when he turned the wrong way like this, he's completely committing to the inside of the field, assuming, I guess, that you're going to run an inside route.
Well, and there's also something strange going on here with, I can only assume this must be the strong safety that's cheated up to the line.
Yeah, well, quite often they will man lock a safety
onto the halfback
when they do the man lock thing, and that safety will creep down to the line to cover the halfback. And I know I do that on purpose in some of my defenses too, because I discovered this.
It's like he decides he wants to cover you.
Yeah, it's a traded coverage, basically. What he's doing is when he sees that the halfback is staying in to block,
he goes back to cover someone else. He
trades off to cover someone else.
However, he chooses the guy who's already 10 yards behind him.
Well, the problem is that with the position that he's in when he crowds down to the line to cover
there's no
the running
way he
back,
can cover him.
He's in a very bad position to trade off for anybody, really.
Yeah.
You know,
he'd be better off converting into a pass rush.
Generally speaking, when I do this, when I man lock a safety and bring him down to the line, it's because I've got a nickel defense out there. And what I do is I still play 2 deep zone, but I have the nickel back play a deep zone.
Yeah.
In addition to the other safety. So I've still got 2 deep coverage.
Yeah.
From 2 guys that are lined up at least between 5 and 10 yards off the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
To start with. And if I'm expecting a run, I'll call a play like that just to get the safety up closer to the line so I've got an extra guy, but I don't want to give up a long pass either. And I honestly believe that at least in this game, 1 deep coverages are totally unacceptable. You just can't run them.
Especially from this point in the field anyways.
Because even against the AI, if you run a 1 deep coverage scheme against them, you're dead. They'll throw a corner or they'll throw a streak down the sideline and they'll burn you for a big gain.
Well, and the funny thing is, the rest of this coverage is actually pretty decent. I mean, maybe the only other guy he could have thrown it to is this guy right here, Tyson.
Yeah, and he's running like an out.
Yeah, you know, I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking.
Well, basically, that's a 1 deep man coverage scheme, right? And when you get linebacker coverage, you know, even on a tight end, linebackers are not the best pass coverage guys in the world, and that guy just plain turned around the wrong way.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, because that safety who started at the line of scrimmage is going straight back down the middle of the field as well.
Yeah.
And then you've got the free safety in behind there playing a 1 deep in the middle. You don't really need to turn into the middle of the field and take away that middle pass, because that's not even what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I wonder, though, if the way that my corner route is drawn, where I give him that 45-degree cut toward the middle of the field at the very beginning, right? Like if you watch him, he cuts 45 and then he runs straight up the field a ways before he bends off toward the sideline. And, you know, I'm wondering if maybe that cut is what fools the defender or something.
Well, it certainly draws them into the middle of the field, but, like, there's no reason that guy should keep, like, backing up so slowly as he was.
Yeah, he should have turned around sooner, and he should have turned to his left. Anyway, I guess that's enough of this, but just figured we'd show that off again. And, you know, just watch and see how these things work in case other people watching these might want to try it too.
Yeah.
Boom.
Okay, and it looks like you've been running a alternate lifers offense franchise here, eh?
Yep. And I actually share this one with you once in a while. It's where we can try out and test different things.
Yep.
For our main playthrough.
Yep.
In this case, I'm in the single back big, and I like to throw deep passes, and I like to throw deeper passes to the wide receivers particularly. And this case, it was no different. Basically, if you look at the wide receiver on the right, who is John Mike Houston, and you watch him run his route, he goes straight ahead for a few steps and then cuts 45 toward the middle of the field. And then he cuts toward the outside. And actually, this defender plays this reasonably well. But part of this as well is that I led this pass over his outside shoulder, so over the right shoulder. So even though that defender covered this pretty well, the ball was still out of his reach. And Houston had the better chance to catch it. That being said, at least the defender had a chance to make some contact and knock the ball away.
Yep.
But this is a pattern actually that I don't really use very much because it is kind of a dangerous pass if you have a good defender.
Yeah.
Then if he's particularly aware or fast, that guy could have stopped and maybe turned to his right sharply and stepped in front of this.
Yep. I've actually seen that with all Madden teams. It's difficult for a normal team to do it, but I've definitely seen all Madden teams do it in coverage like this. Although for this guy, it looks like he's just playing within the limits of his physical abilities.
Yep. Right. And he did, and I don't think the coverage was bad here. It's just that it was a very well thrown ball, and it went exactly where it had to go.
Yeah.
And to tell you the truth, I still prefer, if I'm going to throw a corner to a wide receiver out of this formation, I still prefer the corner route that you drew originally, where you go actually diagonally ahead one space and then ahead a couple of spaces and then do the 45 cut and then out to the sideline, because that particular pattern just plain works better. It opens up more separation with the defender. But I was trying something else out here just to see if it would work.
Yeah, I guess I like that pattern too because it's a bit faster because he doesn't have to make as sharp of a cut in order to get himself open.
Yeah.
And the flow is a bit smoother, and it still gives you the same amount of space on the short side of the field if you want to throw that type of pass to the short side of the field.
Yeah. But anyway, this is sort of mimics the out-of-the-box post-corner pattern.
Which also doesn't work very well.
Which also doesn't work very well because basically what you're trying to do, if you roll this ahead again a little bit here, is you're trying to get the defender to go the wrong way.
And take a wrong step.
But he didn't do that.
No, he didn't do that at all.
He stayed squared up and he played it properly. And most of the time, even with the out-of-the-box pattern, they'll do that.
Yeah.
And what I did when I drew this pattern is I actually drew it a very exaggerated cut at the end of the straight part of this pattern, just to see if I could get him to do that, and it didn't really work. So,
well, if you hadn't drawn your exaggerated cut, I can't imagine how this would have been played at all. Like, this might have ended up in interception.
It might have. But like I said, I would rather go back to what I know works. But this was I guess, kind of a failed experiment. I mean, I completed this pass, but I've also thrown a couple of interceptions with this route. And so I chose not to pursue it, but I wanted to have a look at it anyway and just show people how a post corner kind of is supposed to work.
Yeah.
So anyway, there isn't much more to say about this.
Okay, now we're gonna go over something that I've been working on offense. And the running game, for a long time, was a big bane to me. But I've spent a lot of time working on blocking assignments and run assignments and stuff like that to try to make my running game more effective. And I think that this replay, while it's nothing super duper big or major, does demonstrate that. So,
yeah, basically you've gone from being a pass happy guy to ground chuck.
Well, so in this particular case, we've got a single back formation. I believe this is single back twin tight ends.
Yep.
Right. And what I want to do on this play is I just want to, we're in the hole here. I just want to like hand it off to the halfback and pick up a reasonable amount of yards so I can slowly work my way out of the hole here. So I'm taking a nice conservative, sensible approach about this.
Yeah, you're not trying to pass your way out like the AI
That's
does.
right. Not like the AA. That's just stupid. I hate when they do that. But anyways, so we've got just a standard, I think that's just a standard shuffle step handoff there.
Yep.
And I'm pulling the left guard. This is supposed to be more of a kind of up the middle type of run, right? Kind of like off tackle-ish. And what ends up happening here is I take the handoff and immediately, this linebacker slips the block of this tackle here and would totally blow this play up in the backfield. Except that we have this pulling guard here.
Yep, and
Right.
he did a beautiful job of picking up that linebacker after that linebacker beat his block.
He did.
And that made the play for you. And look at who's that on your right there, number 86,
Yeah, that's
Mills.
tight end Mills.
Yep, and he's doing a good job of sealing the corner out.
Yep.
And it gives you a nice big wide gap to run through. And basically you don't run out of blockers until you've run almost 10 yards down the field. And then there you go, running over the safety. And finally a guy catches you, but you turned that into a nice gain.
Yep.
When it looked like it was going to go for a loss.
And from here on out, it just continues like a normal drive from the 20.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, definitely the pulling guard on that one is, like that's picture perfect execution right there. It's exactly the way that you hope that it would work when you design the play, right?
And I mean, I know sometimes, like, I try to go for, like, the big, long, wide runs and stuff, but pulling guards can be useful, too, just to help give you that little bit of extra support. Like, he's basically fulfilling the same kind of role that a lead blocking fullback would in, like, an I formation or something like that. And that's exactly what I'd expect to happen, but it works better because he's an actual lineman.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then that was nice. You got that broken tackle, and that picked you up an extra 5 or 6 yards right there.
Yep.
And so you started from about the 10-yard line, and you managed to get out over the 20 to about, the 23 or so. So that was almost a 15-yard run, right?
It's a well-run play with a talented running back like Courtney Evans.
Yep, the running back with the girl's name.
All right, let's move on from this one.
Okay.
Okay, so we were playing a Crusaders game, and I was playing defense, and we had a peculiar thing. The AI decided they were going to come out in a 5 wide receiver set instantly, right? And then I decided, okay, I will line up in a prevent defense, and I will just cover everyone. And then they immediately audibled to, like, the single back here. Right, it looks like it's single back slot strong, or...
Yeah, and look at the number of the guy in the tailback position. He's not even a running back.
No, I think he might be a wide receiver. I think he's probably a wide receiver, right? I think also their wide receiver 5 is a backup running back, so that's why there's number 46 there.
Yeah.
Right?
They had no intention of running anyway. This audible probably was just to try and create some extra pass protection.
Yeah. And so, they came out like this, and it's totally absurd. So I end up audibling out of my prevent defense, and my prevent defense doesn't have any linemen in it. It's just got linebackers and defensive backs. Like, it's all out defend the pass.
It's basically a dollar defense with no linemen. Like
That's right.
The 3 linebackers on the field, or 4 linebackers on the field, take the place of the defensive lineman.
That's right. But as a result, I end up in this awkward audible where I've got linebackers lined up against defensive linemen, and then I've got free safety number 30 here, who's like the second string free safety.
Lined up as a linebacker.
Lined up as a linebacker. And we're going to attack from this side of the line because they got a quote-unquote tight end on the right side of the line. But McPherson here is at least slightly faster than a linebacker. Not really. He has 69 speed, and the typical linebacker on my team has 69 speed because I draft big linebackers. So he's slow, and he's also small because he's like an awful cupcake free safety, right? He's like one of the lowest rated players on the team at like 68.
Yeah, he's not good enough to start on a cupcake team.
He's barely good enough to line up in this defense.
That's just because you don't have anybody else.
That's right. But anyways, so I'm going to rush around the outside. I've got a flat zone going to the far side, right? And then I've got man coverage all around everywhere else. And I think the linebacker sneaking into the gap there might also have a flat zone to this side. Right, so he's sneaking there to Fang blitzing, but he's actually not going to blitz. He's going to drop into a flat zone here.
Yep, there
and
he goes.
We're going to come around the outside. And you can see I play like as we've gone over before, a very coverage-heavy defense. And so there's a lot of coverage everywhere. And McPherson manages to get onto the quarterback here just before he throws the ball to that wide receiver running the deep corner on the left there. And McPherson hits him, and the quarterback ducks the sack.
But drops the ball
but drops the ball in the process. Right? And so now we've got a mad scramble for the ball. And McPherson gets up, and I take control of him because I want to make sure he gets the ball. And I can't get the ball because the quarterback picks it back up. So I go to tackle the quarterback, and his tackling ability is so bad.
He misses him again.
He misses him again. And then who is it that has to come in and clean up the mess but the number 3 corner Thomas, our nickelback, who actually comes in and deals with this. You got Travis Wade doing the missed hit stick, too, there. And linemen falling over, and it's just a mess.
So McPherson actually has the distinction of missing 2 tackles on the same play.
And two potential sacks. Well, 1 potential sack, and another tackle on the same play.
Yeah.
And I can't believe it, too, right? And I mean, like, when I took control of him here, I squared him up, I held down the strafe button, I really tried to give him, like, a nice square tackle. I didn't try to hit stick him or anything. And it just didn't matter. He's just so bad at tackling, it just didn't matter.
Yeah, he just slid off of him again.
Yeah.
Oh well. But by then the whole team had basically collapsed into the backfield. So
yeah, there's nobody out in the field anymore.
There's nobody left out there to catch a pass anymore. Everyone basically
There's
converged.
No blocking. There's no nothing. And there's like 4 guys here to make the tackle.
Yeah. But anyway, that was a lot of fun. We were both just basically yelling and laughing, and we couldn't believe that this was actually going on. But anyway.
Yeah, he goes to get up,
things like this make an old game exciting.
I don't know what he's saying here. What he'd be saying to the guy? You should have just gone down when I hit you the first time. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it didn't end up being a turnover, though. He did get the ball back.
He did, yeah, but 5 yards back.
And it did end up being kind of sort of a sack. Eventually. Anyway, onward.
All right. Okay, so this is you. What do we got here?
Well, we have the shotgun slot strong. And I like the single back formation, like single back normal. I like single back slot strong. I like to throw to the slot receiver, because the slot receiver is one of the easiest players to throw a deep corner to, because you can still throw it to him and keep it in the field of play.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, you don't really need that good of a player to do this either.
Yeah, this is Sammy Ball.
Yep. He's like the third, well, he's a wide receiver 3, obviously, on this team. But
yeah.
That means that he's got mid-70s speed. He's got a fairly low catching rating. He's not particularly agile. His acceleration is pretty mediocre.
He's just kind of trash.
Yeah, he's basically a pylon out there. And, but you have to have somebody to put on the field when you run a 3 wide receiver set. So here he is.
Yep.
And basically, if we zoom out here, when we run this play, watch what the wide receiver on the right does. That'll be John Mike Houston. And he's acting as a distraction for the cornerback. And you see Sammy Ball do the signature 45-degree cut into the middle of the field. The guy covering him has got his back to the line of scrimmage. And although he doesn't play this as badly as some people I've seen play it, or some defenders, but still, if this ball is thrown over Sammy Ball's right shoulder, then this defender is not really going to be able to do much about it, and this ball is led a long ways to the outside.
Yeah, it's almost overthrown.
Yeah, and by the way, this is a touch pass. If you throw this as a bullet, it's actually harder to complete, because if you lead it that far away, well, then it'll be an incomplete pass and an overthrow.
Yeah.
But if you loft it up there a little bit, it does give even a slow guy like Sammy Ball time to run under it. And if he's got a step on the defender like he does here, then he's still going to be able to, like catch up to this pass and catch it. And you'll notice that the corner way down there, covering the wide receiver who ran a really short curl, well, that's what that wide receiver's purpose is. And mainly this play is designed to beat cover 2 zone defenses.
Yeah.
Because the wide receiver, in this case, that kept that corner down at the line of scrimmage, well, he will occupy and possibly even be jammed by a corner playing a flat zone.
Yep.
And then Sammy Ball here will usually be covered by a safety who's playing a deep zone.
Yeah.
And because that safety is playing 2 deep zone, and we also have a tight end on this side in this formation running a streak down the middle of the field.
Yep.
Which is going to cause that safety to hesitate a little bit before he moves out to the edge too.
Yeah, he's going to have to choose who he wants to cover, the tight end running the streak, and who's actually down there just as far down the field as Sammy Ball, because
Sammy Ball is that slow that a tight end can run as fast as he can.
Yeah.
But, like I said, and if you watch how far behind the safety is on this play, like this was a man coverage type of thing, but with safety coverage over top.
Yeah.
But still, by the time that safety made that decision, which guy am I going to cover? Because you can see Ball and the tight end, that'll be Lewis. Or Hudson, sorry.
Yep, that'll be Hudson.
That's Hudson and Ball running side by side down the field. And you can see the safety there. He has to make a decision, which guy am I going to cover?
Yep.
And by the time he decides which guy he's going to cover, well, it's already too late. He can't make up that ground.
Yep. So, especially with it thrown so far outside.
Yeah, and this just confirms something, and I'm kind of surprised. We figured this out on our own, but recently I did some reading online about Madden 05 and the Fear the D, the Year of the D, and all that kind of stuff. And what we do here is exactly what the people who wrote the write-ups that I read recommended that you do, and that is, first of all, throw corner routes, because that's what the Madden 05 defense is vulnerable to.
Yep.
And secondly, run the ball until they crowd up to the line with all 11 guys, and then throw it over their heads, which is another tactic that we use.
Yeah.
Right? We use audibles so that when they crowd the line, we throw it over their heads.
Well, and they're absolutely crowding line even here too, right? Yeah. They've got 10 guys in the box, but it's still practically the same thing.
Yeah, and this might be 1 deep. This looks like 1 deep safety coverage again. And that's something, boys and girls, that I'm going to say to you right now, is if you want defensive success, you got to play 2 deep safeties in this game.
Your safeties are there for your own safety.
That's right. You've got to play 2 deep zone all the time.
At least.
Because if you don't, then
this sort of thing will happen.
This sort of thing will happen to you.
Yeah.
And even against the AI has out-of-the-box plays like the one that I recall called Corner Threat, which is out of the shotgun 4 wide receiver. And they also got a play-action play. That's where I learned this concept from, where you run the outside wide receiver really short, and you run the slot receiver in a corner over top of him, because that's exactly what that Corner Threat play does.
They also got a quick hits screen. Wide receiver
action.
Quick hits.
Yeah, that's out of single back normal.
Yeah. Right? And it does the same. And it does the same thing.
The wide receiver stays down at the line of scrimmage to occupy the corner, and then you've got either safety coverage or nickel back coverage, or possibly even linebacker coverage on your slot receiver.
Yeah.
And your slot receiver is the guy who's going to make all the passing yards for you.
Yeah, and that's how you make quick touchdowns, even with the default plays.
Yep. Yeah, actually, before I started drawing my own plays, I used Corner Threat when I needed yards.
Yep.
Or play action quick hits, and I still use play action quick hits.
It is a good play.
Yes, it is. Anyway, we'll move on. Okay, here we go. This is the Crusaders with Sandman 99 playing offense. And I have obviously audibled to this shotgun empty formation because there's all sorts of players out of position.
How
such
about this
as
one?
Adam Parkman playing the left slot.
Oh, God.
Now, Parkman, as we have said before in other replay videos, is the world's slowest fullback with a speed rating of 49.
Yeah.
Now, Adam Parkman has never caught a pass.
Ever. In his entire career.
In his entire career.
He has less than 50 catching.
It's why I changed him from tight end to fullback to begin with, because he's a way better blocking fullback than he will be a pass-catching tight end ever.
Yeah, he's awful.
But he did catch this pass, much to my surprise. And here's what happened. So basically in this audible, he is running a short curl, like a spot route.
Yeah.
And the guy there, number 37, seems to be giving him a great deal of respect. I don't know. He must be afraid that Parkman's going to outrun him or something.
The coach on the sideline is like,
yeah,
with his bong, and he's like, you better make sure to give these guys respect with their passing game out there.
He's giving a guy with 49 speed a 5-yard cushion. Okay. Anyway, by some miracle, Parkman, with his hands of stone, actually catches this pass. And now watch what happens, because Parkman is about 6'8" and around 300 pounds.
Yeah.
So watch what happens now. Boom. And he runs through that tackle. Boom. He runs through that tackle. Boom. He runs over the safety. And finally, 2 other guys catch him from behind.
And it's a 10-yard gain.
And it's a 10-yard gain.
Longest pass completion of his career. That's
the longest pass reception of his career. He's actually had runs from scrimmage longer than that pass reception. God. But that's also the only pass reception of his career, because
he's awful.
He's so bad at catching that I have thrown the ball to him before in audible type situations like this, but he always drops the ball.
Even if he's not getting hit.
Even if he's not being covered.
And maybe this is why the cushion here exists. I don't know.
I think I had already accepted the fact that I was going to be kicking a field goal here. I think we were probably ahead in this game, and I audibled just because they lined up in some kind of a defense where I could not run.
Yeah.
And so I audibled to this so that I could get rid of the ball. And then I figured, well, you know what? We're inside the 20-yard line. I'm just going to protect the ball. And then if I don't make a first down here, I'll just kick a field goal. And, you know, like the one time when I really needed him to, he catches it.
God.
And then he runs through 3 tackles on the same play. And finally, you know, like it takes 2 other guys to drag him down from behind.
That was a high-octane play. He almost got a touchdown.
That was pretty exciting. I thought he was going to get a touchdown.
Oh,
but
man.
anyway, he is so big and so strong, though, that like running with this guy from the fullback position, he amassed 600 yards rushing for a guy with 49 speed out of the fullback position, and that's like pretty cool. And after the first little while, when I had some success at it, I was actually feeding him the ball on purpose just to see what I could do, right?
Yeah, refrigerator who?
Yeah, and you know, like every time he would pull off, like I'd hand him the ball and just barge up the middle, going as slow as you please, and run through a couple tackles and pick up 10 yards, and I'd laugh, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, this time around, we really had a good laugh, because that was quite something.
It was
literally
unbelievable.
He literally ran through half the defense there in order to get a 10-yard reception.
Best play of his career.
Yeah.
Okay, so just like we share and take part in that Other Lifers franchise sometimes, I popped in and I decided I was going to play offense for you for the Leopards here one day. And things were going pretty well. We're playing against the Guppies. You know, it's a close-ish game, but things are okay. All right. You were testing one of your new defensive schemes. I think that test didn't quite go as you planned.
No,
but
it didn't go quite as planned, but, you know.
These things happen, right? Ups and downs. You learn from your mistakes. Right? But we're playing just, you know, trying to play it safe here. Play some ball control. I just want to run a normal run play. I think it's like, you know, I don't know what down it is. I think it's 1st and 10. Right? So this is just like a run play on 1st and 10. They're in a 4-3. It's a perfectly acceptable defense to stop the run. There's nothing wrong with the way they're lined up. There's nothing wrong with the way we're lined up. But the starting halfback is tired. So we have Floyd in there. And Floyd is not like Douglas at all. Floyd has like low 70s speed. Douglas has like mid to high 80s speed. Floyd has no strength, no running ability whatsoever. He can carry the ball, and that's about it. Douglas, in spite of his small stature, can run people over, as you've seen in previous replays. Right? But in any case, we're going to try handing it to Floyd, because we're taking care of the ball, and we're just trying not to turn it over. So, here we go. We hand it to Floyd. And everything sets up perfectly here. Look at the way the guard manages to hold on to that defensive tackle. The offensive tackle blocks the linebacker. There's a little bit of interference there, run against the other linebacker. I think that was supposed to be a block by the wide receiver, but it just kind of didn't work. But, you know, wide receiver blocking is never great. But then we have our fullback 2, pick up the blitzing corner, and he just flattens him, right? And then we've got fullback 1 picking up the safety, and here comes the other safety from the other side of the field, and I'm always trying to work on my tackle breaking. It doesn't matter if I'm playing a converted wide receiver at halfback who has like 40 tackle breaking or whatever, or a backup player like this who's crap. I always throw on the 2 hands button and try to break the tackle. And in this particular case, I got lucky enough because of his wide angle of pursuit that I just managed to throw him off enough in order to break that tackle. So then I keep on running, and you can see I actually let go of the 2 hands button there. Right, I keep on running, and that linebacker dives, and he was fast enough. He probably could have caught Floyd if he stood on his feet, but you know, he's an idiot, so he's gonna dive. And then this other linebacker I don't think is fast enough.
I think he got slowed down by the guy laying on the ground in front of him, too.
Yeah. And so then, you know, this is just a touchdown. All right, it goes from let's just protect the ball and have a nice conservative approach where we don't take any big risks first down. We don't have to move the ball very far anywhere, to this is a touchdown run by an absolutely horrible running back.
Well, I mean, he does have a break tackle ability of around 50, I think.
Yeah, but still not great. But
it's still not great.
This linebacker could catch him. Like, look at the way he makes up that distance.
He closes the ground, but then
he just plays it badly.
That's just something that's programmed into the AI. They tend to do that, and we figured out a long time ago that if you're lucky, you can take advantage of that. Well, but if you back up here, though, I wanted to point out something at the beginning of this play.
All right.
Okay. So, you know, just go forward and hand the ball off, and then watch your 2 fullbacks and the way that they line up. And you can see that this is a sign that this is going to be a big play. And the reason you do is because you see those 2 fullbacks and then you run into the gap in between them.
Yep.
And anytime that you see that alignment, that is a big play opportunity right there.
For 10 or 15 yards, and if you break the safety tackle, more.
Yeah, exactly. But if you don't see that, more often than not, you're not going to get a big play on an off-tackle run.
Yeah, this is what it looks like when the blocking lines up absolutely perfectly.
Yeah, when everybody blocks the way they're supposed to do at the line, and then your 2 lead blockers get out there, well, that's, you know, like that. But even when I run the ball out of the wishbone, I get the same look sometimes, where I have the 2 lead blockers, and you can see them left and right.
Yep.
And they pick up the defenders each on those sides, and if you run through that gap in between them, then you're in the open field.
I still can't get over that dive. Because I didn't even do anything special to evade that. That guy's just an idiot.
Yeah. Well, I guess it was just one of those things, right?
Yeah. But yeah, and I mean, like, there's not a lot of, like, you know, I worked a lot on the blocking, but this play is actually, like, the basic play I call when I don't want to get a run stuffed in the backfield, right? You've got your 2 basic lead blockers, no pulling linemen, no, like, super duper, not trying to break a big run here or anything like that, just trying to get maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5 yards, if you're lucky, right? And it's just an instance where everything lined up perfectly. Everybody did exactly what they were supposed to do. And, I don't know, I guess the defense kind of misplayed it too, right? On their end.
Well, it looked like they were expecting a pass. You could see the corner dropping in what looked like a zone defense there.
Yeah, and that gives a bit more cushion for the fullback to run out there.
That gives you a bit more room, and the safety was a long ways off the line as well.
Yep.
But even so, you don't get a long run like this very often, and it usually happens when you least expect it.
Yeah, there was no reason for this. No. I was just trying to prevent a score, prevent a whatever, but this was a game-turning moment. We won this game because of this run.
Yeah. But anyway, sometimes these things happen, like I said, when you least expect it. And it happened this time. So, we'll move on.
Okay, and we're back here, and this time we're looking at a defensive replay here, and this is me playing defense for the lifers in that alternate franchise. So you play the offense and I play the defense, and this is how we practice various things and learn things about the game. But in this particular one, you've got this defensive tackle named Hill. And, I don't know really much about where Hill came from. I'm not too involved in this franchise, but he looks like he's a pretty big guy. And I'm controlling him because I play defensive tackle. Now, we're just in a 4-3 here, right? I've actually got the linebackers spread. And I'm just going to play a fairly conventional, double flat zone, little bit of man coverage type of thing. Because that's what I do out of the 4-3, right? You don't want to totally give up the pass, but you also want to remain at least somewhat solid in the middle. Right? And in this particular case, they've got, I think, 3 tight ends out there, right?
Yeah, this is a short yardage play, I think.
Yeah,
and,
so this is like the goal line.
Yeah, so they put the goal line offense out there.
Yeah. And I ended up, so I didn't even line up in a man coverage thing. I think I actually lined up in a zone defense, right?
Yeah,
I think this is cover 3.
You usually put some kind of full zone defense.
Yeah, so I've got like a cover 3 out here, and it's just like a cover 3 with the exception that this linebacker is going to drop deep in the middle instead of the safety, because the 2 safeties dip down into hook zones, because they're better at catching, and it creates turnovers a bit more nicely.
Yeah,
but because they have the 2 tight ends on the strong side of the formation, I shifted the line over that way, and I actually am probably going to crash to that side, right?
Yeah, you're definitely doing that. You can tell by the way that Dolman is going there.
Yeah. And then, of course, I am trying to control Hill here, and I actually get engaged by the center right away, because he's actually doing a very good job trying to push off and trying to get past me, right? But I'm watching the handoff here, right? Because I'm thinking this is probably a run play with how they lined up. And the way that I do that is I sit here and I try to pull off my guy to the left, and if I had to use a rip or a swim move, I would do that too, right? But in this case, I didn't have to because he pushed me so far off. And I'm going to get in here and I'm just going to, shut the run down, right? So... and this isn't, even though it looks like a big hit, it's only a big hit because this guy's a defensive tackle. I'm holding down the strafe button when I make contact with this guy, and I'm just trying to, make a nice square tackle.
Yeah, well, there's probably 100 pounds of size difference there because...
he's 300-pound defensive tackle.
Because I know who Hill is, because I play defense for the lifers in our playthrough.
Yeah.
And Hill is one of the original defensive tackles from the lifers, and he is like a big fat guy that weighs 325 pounds or something.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really have any exceptional statistics, but if you're a 200 and some pound halfback and you get hit by a 325 pound defensive tackle,
it's gonna hurt
dead on. Well, you're going to go over backwards probably.
Yeah. And so, but what ends up happening is I hit him, right? And it's just a normal hit, but he actually coughs the ball up here, which is surprising because he's not like an awful running back.
Yeah. And I never would have figured this, but look at Hill get back to his feet.
Yep.
He doesn't do like we talked about fumbles in another replay video before.
Yeah, you'd think
he doesn't
just
try
reach
to
his
just
right arm
scoop
out
the ball into his body. He actually gets to his feet, reaches down, picks up the ball.
And now I'm in control.
And then he runs through the quarterback.
Yep.
Who is the last man back, and then you have a guy dive behind him.
That's a tight end.
Yeah. And then Hill looks like a track star, and he just runs into the end zone.
Yeah, just track stars have a tire around their waist, right? Hill's like, okay, we're going to McDonald's and the all-you-can-eat Chinese buffet after, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be a night out for Hill after this one.
Yeah, and then we might have to stop at the pizza place on the way home.
Yep.
But yeah, I just love that. He swims forward on his belly on the ground toward the ball, but then instead of scooping the ball into his body like you'd see in a real live game, he actually takes the time to get up and then reach down and pick the ball up.
Yep.
And it's like, well, I don't think I've ever seen anybody actually do that in a real game before.
Yeah, and you can see Dolman is trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, Dolman is trying to like drag the ball into himself,
but Hill is in the way.
But there's another guy behind Hill, Roll, the other defensive tackle, who's also doing the same thing. He's trying to reach down and pick the ball up with his hands.
Yeah. Oh man.
Which, as we mentioned before, is strictly a no-no if you're like really actually playing football in real life, right?
Yeah, I think this quarterback is like more or less shocked here. He's just kind of standing there.
The quarterback's just standing there watching, and then he doesn't
realizes
actually,
what it is.
Yeah, he doesn't actually react until Hill picks up the ball. So, yeah, there's a few warts here and there in Madden 05, I think. I can just imagine a certain YouTuber that we watch once in a while, if he saw this, would probably have something to say about it, too.
Well, that's okay, because Hill also has a broken thumb during this play.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's all about.
Actually, his entire hand is twitching there.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, look at him just running like he's, like a speedy running back.
His heart's pounding. He doesn't know what's going to do, what's going to come of this, but he wants this touchdown so bad.
Yeah.
And then his hand's still twitching, even as he's holding it up and celebrating. He's just got a nervous tick, that's all.
Yeah. So there you go. Rec V5X scores a defensive touchdown with a big fat defensive tackle.
And the big smile at the end.
Big smile at the end. So it appears that our roles have reversed now, because I always was the defense guy, and you were always the offense guy.
And I passed, and you ran.
Yeah. And now I pass and you run and you play defense well and I play offense. So here we go. This play starts off as the shotgun 4 wide receivers. And what I did was I motioned wide receiver on the right side over to the left so that I've got 3 wide receivers to my left.
Yep.
And I've got man lock coverage again here. You can tell.
And they've got like one guy back there.
One deep safety, and they've got an extra guy over by the slot receiver on the right.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that guy is probably blitzing.
Mm-hmm.
Because quite often out of the dime package, which is what this looks like, they'll move a guy way over, or nickel package, they'll move a guy way over in space like that and then blitz him toward the backfield.
Yep.
On the weak side of the formation, and they'll even change sides if you motion a wide receiver from one side of the formation to the side where the nickel back is,
then they'll move their blitzer all the way over.
They'll actually move players around all over.
Yeah, and that's why you see me snap the ball early sometimes, because I see that guy, and he's just that one guy, and he wants to walk all the way from the left side of the field to the right so that he can be there to stop your run. And so I'll snap it as soon as I see that asshole moving.
Yeah, and probably the guy that they moved over is the guy to number 52's left there. Because the 52 is the linebacker, and he could be where he is due to a linebacker shift.
Yeah.
But I'll bet you that this was linebacker coverage on...
wide receiver 4.
On wide receiver 4. And yeah, sure enough, here comes number 43. And okay, I guess maybe they did have him doing some kind of coverage thing.
Yeah.
But if you look at the left side now, and the guy we want to watch is number 81 Ball again. And we'll start the play and watch what he does.
All right.
And again, he's running a corner route.
Of course he is.
And John Mike Houston also does the 45 cut thing into the middle of the field.
Yep.
But then he runs a streak.
And there's the one deep safety.
And there's the one deep safety. And of course, the one deep safety doesn't know what to do with this. Number 27 there is supposed to be covering Ball. And he blows the coverage and turns around the wrong way.
And Houston is way faster than Ball, so he's going to run that safety off.
Yeah, Houston's going to occupy the safety. The safety doesn't even bother to move over to cover Ball. And if you look down at the bottom of the screen there, wide receiver 2 has got the cornerback on his side down near the line of scrimmage. Again, it's the old corner threat concept. Although I drew the corner route here because I like that little 45-degree cut at the line of scrimmage. It seems to move the defender into the middle of the field. And here comes Sammy Ball, and he's going to catch this long bomb. And he's wide open. And then, of course, he's not very fast, so he's not going to run away from anybody. So number 27, after blowing the coverage, does catch up to him and make the tackle.
But you can still throw long bombs to piss-poor receivers.
Yeah, like we said before, Sammy Ball is not very fast. He's less than 75 speed, I'm pretty sure. And he doesn't have great hands either. But if you throw him passes like this where he's wide open, he's going to catch them. And, like the defense is just, they put themselves out of position.
I'd almost half believe Adam Parkman could have caught this pass.
Well,
until he drops it.
He probably would have dropped it, yeah. But, again, you throw these kinds of passes, and I throw these passes to substandard receivers all the time.
Yeah.
And they work. And, that's the thing, though, is that this is just another way to help make that corner route work if you combine it with a streak on a receiver just to the inside of him.
Yeah.
So that, especially one deep coverages are very vulnerable to this, because the one deep guy will want to pick up the receiver running the streak down the middle, because he knows that if he doesn't, you could hit the guy running the streak for a long gain, right?
Yeah.
And, because he has to pick one guy or the other, and he picks the guy he considers to be the biggest threat.
Which is John Mike Houston,
obviously. Well, then the other guy's going to be wide open for a 20-plus yard gain. So, anyway, we're kind of beating this concept to death, but I like to pass out of the shotgun as well.
Ugh.
And I do it quite a bit. And I like to throw bombs. I like to throw long passes. I don't throw that many short passes on an actual called pass play.
Hey, I throw long passes. They're at least 10 yards long.
Yeah. But, for me, if I throw a short pass, it'll be because I've audibled to a short pass out of a running formation.
Yeah.
But if I am in what you would consider to be a passing formation, usually I'm going to line up and I'm going to try and set up a long pass first.
Yeah.
Because that's the way I play. Boom. Okay, this is our last replay. And this is Sandman 99's defense, playing, more or less a 3-4, although I've replaced the outside linebackers with the defensive ends, and I'm playing with 3 defensive tackles.
Yeah.
And this is a nickel package because number 21 in the middle of the formation there is not a linebacker. That's Grant Brown, who is the corner back 3, pardon me.
Yeah.
The 5th defensive back on the field. And then Boone, of course, is the starting inside linebacker.
Yep.
So it's basically a 5-1-5.
Yep.
Anyway, and in this scheme, I like to crash the nose tackle and try to occupy one side of the offensive line or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, I've decided to call a play where the nose tackle crashes to the left and tries to hit the right guard, and number 91 there is supposed to hit the left guard, which gives Holt on the left side, the left defensive end, a free shot into the backfield.
Yeah.
So anyway, but sometimes, and especially because we're using number 75 there, who is a player that we traded for actually to get. He's a converted offensive lineman that I converted to nose tackle because of his strength and his acceleration.
Yep.
And he has mid-90s strength and around 80 acceleration, which means that he gets off the line. He fires off the line very quickly. He's very powerful. And if we start this play and run it, we'll see what happens here. What I do is when I know this is a pass, I crash into the guard, and then I start shoving right away, and I try to push him backwards. And one of the reasons that I'm able to evade the center there is because of Brooks's quickness. Because he basically runs around the center and hits the guard right away. I shove the guard off, and now I've got a shot at the quarterback, and here I go. So I horse collar him and drag him to the ground. He drops the ball, and I happen to be in exactly the right place to pick the ball up and run with it afterwards. And of course, Brooks is not very fast, like as far as top-end speed goes.
Yeah. Because
he's a former offensive lineman, so he only has around 50 speed. So, like the Stinger's offense is able to run him down before he gets into the end zone for the touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
But still, this is kind of the style of defensive line play that even though our defenses look different from one another and we do different things, one of the things that we have in common is that we try to play the interior defensive line and cause trouble for passing offenses by collapsing the middle of the pocket in on the quarterback.
Well, and there's a couple of funny things that go on in this play too, right? When you beat this guy, the quarterback goes, "Oh shit," and he goes to run away from you.
Yeah, he actually pulls the ball down and tries to scramble away. And that's actually something that some of the slower quarterbacks will do. Like quite often you'll look at the roster of a team that you're playing against and their quarterback only has like 52 speed or something like that.
Yeah.
Which means that if you had a so-called scrambling quarterback who's got a speed rating of around 65, well, he wouldn't have to do that. He could sort of shuffle sideways while still looking down the field.
And then another interesting thing here is this fullback over here. He blocks your defensive end at first, right? And then as you beat your guy, he releases off of the defensive end like he's going to block you, and then he just kind of like gives up and stands there.
Yeah, well, he's in a bad position to do that because I'm already behind him by the time he decides to do that. So
yeah.
But anyway, that's Cade Brooks. He's my new defensive tackle on the Lifers. Put there because he is 330-pound plus guy with 94 or 95 strength, something like that.
And he's strong, unlike Hill.
Yep. And I wanted to have that player who could punch into the middle of the offensive line.
Far less of a tire around this guy's waist.
No, he's pretty lean and mean for a big, huge guy. And there he is.
Looks like he's having a good time out there, too.
He's having a good time. He picked up the fumble, he got the sack, he picked up the fumble, and he almost scored a touchdown if he could have just made it another 2 yards.
So close.
So close. But anyway, that's the end of our replays for this episode.
I'm RecV5.
And I'm Sandman99.
And I hope you have a good one.
Hope you enjoyed this.